Ah, elephants, the undisputed heavyweight champions of the animal kingdom. These magnificent creatures are the largest land animals on Earth and possibly the only ones that can make you feel simultaneously inspired, humbled, and oddly aware of your own shortcomings in flexibility. Let's take a deep dive, metaphorically of course, into the world of these gentle giants. Spoiler alert, they're more fascinating than you think. Let's start with their sheer size, because really, how could we not? African elephants, the largest of the species, can weigh up to 14,000 pounds. That's about the same as 2 fully loaded SUVs. Or, if we're being generous, 28,000 bowls of mac and cheese. They stand about 10 to 13 feet tall at the shoulder, taller than the average basketball hoop. Imagine looking up and realizing you've been spotted by a living, breathing grey skyscraper with ears. And speaking of ears, they're not just for looking adorable when flapping around like giant Dumbo impersonators. Those ears are sophisticated cooling systems. The blood vessels running through them are like nature's own radiator. When the elephant flaps its ears, it cools the blood circulating through these vessels, which then lowers its overall body temperature. This is particularly useful when you live in places where the sun doesn't mess around. Meanwhile, the rest of us have to survive the heat by sweating into our t-shirts and arguing with air conditioners. Moving on from ears to the trunk, let's acknowledge that this is the most impressive nose in the animal kingdom, hands down, or trunks up, as the case may be. The elephant's trunk is a combination of nose and upper lip, but calling it just that feels like an insult. It's a biological marvel with over 40,000 muscles. For context, you have about 600 muscles in your entire body. Feeling inadequate? Good. The trunk is essentially an all-purpose tool, capable of picking up objects as delicate as a single blade of grass or as heavy as 600 pounds. It's also a built-in snorkel, a water pump and a trumpet for those moments when subtlety just won't cut it. The trunk is also how elephants express themselves. Angry, trumpet. Excited, trumpet. Want to announce to the world that you've just found the best mud hole in existence? Trumpet. It's like a built-in megaphone that never runs out of batteries. If you're feeling especially fancy, elephants can even greet each other with a kind of trunk handshake. It's adorable and somehow makes human high fives seem woefully inadequate. Now, let's talk about food, because elephants are essentially nature's competitive eaters. They can consume up to 300 pounds of food a day. That's the equivalent of eating 1,200 cheeseburgers daily. Their diet consists mainly of grass, leaves, bark and fruit. It's not glamorous, but when you're that big, you don't have time to worry about plating and presentation. Eating isn't just a hobby for elephants, it's a full-time job. They spend about 16 hours a day munching away, which honestly sounds like the dream if you don't factor in all the chewing. Of course, you can't eat 300 pounds of food a day without staying hydrated. Elephants drink around 50 gallons of water daily. That's enough to fill a standard bathtub. And how do they drink it? With that trusty trunk, of course. They suck water into their trunk, then spray it into their mouths. It's functional, efficient, and just a little bit messy. They also use their trunks for playfully spraying water at each other, which is both adorable and a reminder that elephants might be having more fun than the rest of us. Now, onto their feet. Yes, even their feet are fascinating. An elephant's foot structure is unique, with a cushiony pad beneath their bones that acts like a shock absorber. This is why these massive creatures can walk so quietly. It's like they're wearing built-in noise-cancelling sneakers. They also communicate through their feet. Yes, really, elephants can sense vibrations through the ground, using this ability to detect distant thunderstorms or the approach of other herds. Imagine having the ability to feel a thunderstorm coming while casually snacking on a tree. Elephants are living, breathing super sensors. And then there's their intelligence. Elephants are among the most intelligent creatures on Earth. They have the largest brains of any land animal, weighing about 10 pounds. Their cognitive abilities are mind-blowing. They're capable of solving problems, using tools, and even displaying self-awareness. In experiments, elephants have recognized themselves in mirrors, which puts them one step ahead of your dog, who still thinks his reflection is an aggressive stranger. Their memory is the stuff of legend. The saying "an elephant never forgets" is surprisingly accurate. Elephants can remember the locations of waterholes and feeding grounds even after decades. They can also remember individual humans, which is great news if you're kind to elephants, and absolutely terrifying if you've ever wronged one. Let's just say that elephants have long memories and even longer grudges. But it's not just memory, it's emotions too. Elephants experience complex feelings like joy, grief, and compassion. They're known to mourn their dead, often returning to the spot where a loved one passed away. They've even been observed holding vigils over the bones of deceased herd members. This emotional depth is both beautiful and heartbreaking, and a reminder that elephants are far more than just big animals lumbering around. They're social, emotional, and deeply connected to one another. Now, let's talk about their family structure, because elephants know a thing or two about sticking together. They live in matriarchal herds, led by the oldest and wisest female. This matriarch isn't just the boss. She's the family GPS, guiding the herd to food and water and teaching younger members how to navigate the wild. Males, on the other hand, tend to leave the herd when they reach adolescence and live more solitary lives or form bachelor groups. It's kind of like when your cousin moves out to find himself and ends up living with 3 roommates named Chad. Of course, life isn't all waterholes and mud baths. Elephants face serious challenges. Habitat loss due to deforestation and agriculture is a major threat. They're also targeted by poachers for their ivory tusks, a problem that has decimated populations. Today there are around 415,000 African elephants and fewer than 50,000 Asian elephants left in the wild. These numbers are sobering, but conservation efforts are making progress. Protected reserves and anti-poaching measures are helping, and many organizations are working tirelessly to ensure elephants have a future. It's worth noting that not all elephants have tusks. In some populations, more elephants are being born without tusks, likely due to the selective pressure of poaching. It's a fascinating example of how humans have unintentionally influenced evolution, but it's also a tragic reminder of the impact we've had on these creatures. Despite these challenges, elephants continue to amaze us. Whether they're using mud as sunscreen, creating their own waterholes by digging in dry riverbeds, or showing affection through gentle trunk touches, they're a testament to nature's ingenuity. They remind us of the importance of family, the value of resilience, and the joy of a really good mud bath. So the next time you think about elephants, remember, they're not just big. They're big-hearted, big-brained, and big eaters. They're nature's most impressive multitaskers, emotional powerhouses, and living proof that the animal kingdom still has plenty to teach us. And if you ever get the chance to see one up close, take a moment to appreciate all that they are, and maybe avoid eating that second cheeseburger in front of them. After all, they're watching. And trust me, they'll remember.